And welcome to another episode of Tavern Talks. I am your wonderful host, James, and I am the GM of Tabletop Misfits. Oh my goodness, I got tongue-tied there for a second. That's what happens when you have speakers on at the same time. And I have a wonderful guest tonight. We're going to talk about anything we can when it comes to homebrew. So I have invited our friends over at Heroes of Evermore to come hang out with us this evening to talk some D&D, specifically what they're working on over there, what we've got going on in the world of homebrew, and, just to have a wonderful chat. So without further ado, let me introduce Heroes of Evermore.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I'm excited to have a pint with y'all and go to Tavern Talks. But yeah, I don't know if you have any questions or you want me to start off with anything in particular.
Just kind of give us an idea of what is Heroes of Evermore, so that people that are coming in that might not be from your channel or your Instagram, so that people can kind of figure out who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So Heroes of Evermore was sparked off of a 2-year D&D campaign, completely homebrewed, and pretty much, as you know, if anyone's DMs out there, we just spark this world out of imagination if you're homebrewing a whole world, and it's truly amazing. It's almost like creating a video game inside your head, but that the players can navigate and run through and cause their own havoc through. So Heroes of Evermore sparked from that. And then now it's just turned into sharing that content and hopefully inspiring players and DMs to do different things during their games that can help them, that can guide them. And that's kind of what I'd love to share here today too.
Nice. Yeah, so we've got all sorts of things that you guys have done between, looks like homebrew items to be utilized. Terrain seems to be pretty custom made.
Yeah.
Some of the different images that you sent us over was really useful for that. One thing I like to ask all of my guests, just to get kind of an idea of where you're coming from. So how long have you actually been playing tabletop role-playing games?
Yeah, great question. How old am I? Let's see. About 13 years ago, I was actually first introduced to D&D through a friend of mine, and it was just 2 of us. He ran an NPC, so 3 people running through his campaign, and it was literally he was drawing out room by room or map on paper as we went.
It didn't really change from that until like 2 years ago, so it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so 13 years ago, which version did you start on?
He didn't even disclose that. I don't even know if it was completely homebrewed based off of what, because he had been playing since the 80s, and so it could be a mash of all of them. I don't know exactly for 13 years ago if it was like 4 or 3.5. I don't recall, but
it's probably 3 or 3.5.
Yeah,
13 years ago. Yeah, because I started in 3, and that was in 2002 is when I started playing. So but I've been writing for much longer than that. We used to do they're like forum posting writing, and it's kind of you told the story as a group, and one person would post and the next person would continue the story and vice versa, on and on, and not realizing that there was a game that connected that, and that's kind of where D&D was connected very easily for me. So
love it. That's great.
So when did you actually have your first actual campaign then? Because you've got 2 people playing, but when did you actually able to get the whole group together and get the full experience of what a party felt like and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was sporadic. It's sad that campaign kind of faltered short. After a year of playing here and there, and it was never, that was as many people as we can get at that time together around for the full campaign. But to get the full immersive experience was about 3 years ago when we started up our main campaign, because I had played sporadically as a player, and then when I really got the itch to play again, I didn't know it was as big as it was. I didn't know about Critical Role. I just started Googling, looking up, because I figured I'm gonna have to be the DM, and everyone who I'm asking through church and wherever I'm I'm at through work, if they are interested, to see if they can play, they're not going to jump in the DM seat. So I had to learn from that. And that's kind of when I picked everything up. I went through like Matthew Colville's Running the Game series. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's just like immersive, 100 episodes. Just did that.
I've ran through his How to Be a Good GM How to Be a Great GM is another good guy.
Dungeon Dudes.
Dungeon Dudes is good. There's a lot of them out there now. Like, it's kind of grown. That mentality of D&D has grown too. Not just playing D&D, but now how to teach it and properly adjust people to the game system. Though personally, my own personal opinion is there's really no way to really teach Dungeons and Dragons because everybody is going to do it differently. There are habits and there are things that you can utilize by each of those players and each of those game masters to take for your own enjoyment and then continue from there. And that's kind of where we're what we do, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, pooling from anything. I mean, I love incorporating flanking into my games. Full cover, half cover, partial cover. It's just all that stuff you can kind of mash together in different ways of playing. And I would like to balance it out with role playing and action heavy, not just strict RP, but also, having a good idea of where they want to go forward and giving the mix of players. I actually did a poll through like Survey Monkey, halfway through the campaign. Hey, what do you guys think? Do you think there's enough role playing? Do you think there's enough action? What do you want to do going forward? So I got their opinion and could kind of throttle and gauge as we went through the campaign, which was awesome.
See, that you nailed it on the head right there. It's just that you have to make sure that you're engaging your players, and specifically with homebrew, but I think with everything, truthfully, like I don't ever it's been a couple years since I've fully homebrewed my whole world. Now I do work with a company that's third party that technically is homebrew, but it's not, because it's not WotC modules, but it's still not fully homebrew. And then on my other games, I do run full modules, but I run them in such a way that is completely different than the book itself. Because a lot of times I think the books they're great guides, but they're not there to build the adventure. The adventure is you putting your emphasis into it, your creativity and your imagination to make those better. And I think if the guides are used that way, most of the modules are a lot of fun. Even though people are like, oh, it's a module, I don't want to play it. I'm like, maybe use it. Don't play it. Use it. Utilize it. Change things around. Take something from it. And I think that's the first thing about homebrew that you need to realize, is that you don't have to homebrew everything. Homebrew is it can be exhausting. It can be overwhelming, depending on how deep you want to get into the logistics of things. Do you want to understand the political intrigue? Do you want to understand why the continents are shaped the way they are, or why this planet is the way it is, or where it connects in the world, or how the magic works? Those big questions can change a complete campaign without even changing anything else about the campaign. You could take something simple like what is I'm trying to think, Ice Peak or something like that. It's like literally the one you can buy at Target. You just go pick up the module and go. But if you change one thing about it, instead, let's not take it in the mountains, let's put it in the jungle. Well, now you've changed the entire campaign, because now you've got to manipulate the monsters, and you've got to understand the NPC differences. You have environmental adjustments, those types of things. So you can take a homebrew very quickly and shift, or you can take a module very quickly and shift, and make things so much more interesting, in my opinion, than just dealing with that. I actually took Kragmaw's hideout and utilized and altered that to my liking. I like Kragmaw's. Yeah, I like that one. That was
great.
Fun.
But like outside the main intro town, I wanted to have a reason why there was turmoil outside the town, and based on it just trickle effect from the politics of the enemy forces needing ore, and this mine has ore, and then turning Kragmaw's hideout into a mine where there's like Duragar in there and orcs and slavers, and they have to ship it to the port. And so they followed this storyline, which was awesome. And it turned out there was a hidden passage that went underneath into the town, the main temple in the town. And it discovered that the main priest was a bad guy turned into a dragon, just like epic, but off of one, taking something from a module that Kragmaw's hideout, altering it and changing it just enough. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's like I said, those are those fun moments, because you're like, I'm just gonna take this one piece of this module and I'm gonna use it, but I'm gonna make it where I need it to be in my world. Those are the things that you can utilize. So we were talking about homebrew. So what are other tools you've used personally that have immersed your players more so than just maps, character sheets, images? Because I know we have a bunch of pictures, and I'm going to have our wonderful guru in the background pull some of those up for us.
Yeah. Oh, no worries.
Those are going to be...
You looking for the player immersion stuff?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I think that's a good place for us to start tonight, of just talking ways to get your players more involved, because that's the main focus we run into nowadays. Is we don't want to lose their interest. We want to make sure that they're always engaged, and you can do that with funny voices. You can do that with interesting and intriguing characters. You can do that with music. You can do that with images. But sometimes it's fun to add a little more, right? It's something else. So if you go to the heroes players immersion level, it looks like you've used we've used candles, and I won't
see them from where I'm at, but
they're on stream.
And trust me, I have videos saved on my phone of doing voices for each NPC. I'd have a map printout, and then I'd use like notes or Google Docs, and I'd enter in each place and the NPC that's there, and then so on my end I could see, and then I put like a little subtitle, like half orc with a Scottish accent, or whatever the case may be, or and then I would practice them in the in my phone, so I could see myself and how I was portraying that character, and then listen to the voice and adjust and alter it as it goes. So that's just the one aspect that I think all DMs try to do if they can.
So Shadow Lantern 193 says, how would you show perspective evil good in an NPC? So might need a little bit more specification on this, Shadow Lantern. Are you talking, how do you describe a character to be kind of giving that feeling off, or are we talking more so like mood, or
if it's or voice even?
Or voice.
I would start by, he can clarify a little bit, let me know, but I would say starting by doing sly actions, like let's say as they enter the town or as they enter the tavern, this hunched over figure in the corner moves out of sight, something like just a hint, and then go on and describe everyone else in the tavern or the town and everything that they see. But there's that one suspicion that they have that could portray them being evil.
Okay. So you're kind of nailing it right at there. You're stating it properly. Because how would you set the feeling that they might be one or the other? Really, I think that depends on how much you want to reveal. I know personally, I've had campaigns where people know the bad guy. I have campaigns where people have no idea who the bad guy was until it was too late. And it really, the question is how much do you want to reveal in your campaign, and what is the overarching goal of this character? And that's where your mood, that's where your conversations, when you're speaking to these NPCs, those are the things you need to be thinking about when you're talking. What is his goal? What is his fear? What is his reason to be in the place that he's at right now? Is he gathering people? Is he looking for something? Is he plotting to kill somebody? What is his point? Why is he at the build in the area that you're playing in? And
Yeah.
then how do you connect that with a voice or connect that with a scenario? I think
Yeah.
that's the best way I would do it personally.
Yeah. I mean, to play,
Music's fun too. You can
yeah.
shift music real quick as well.
Oh yeah.
Those are always
Shift
fun.
the atmosphere like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, I have actually had an NPC come down and save one of my player characters. And as he like swooped down, saved her, one of our half elf rogue, in the town, then they all go to the tavern. She ends up buying him a drink and like flirting with him, totally hitting on him. And then eventually I had already had it planned where, yes, he's this heroic character up front, but he ended up swooping her gold. And when they're fighting this main pirate, he comes in as one of the main pirates, like secondhand men, and turns against them. So, you can portray NPCs in any which way, but that was just you can make it pretty obvious and you can make it not obvious at all. And
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
100%.
players.
I mean, we had a campaign. Well, it was really the end of our campaign for the most part because of some issues with some of the players that they had to leave for. Most of my players are military or have some sort of military affiliation. So there are days where, we've got 3 more months, guys, and then it's 6 months off because we can't do anything else. Those types of moments. We had one where we decided to do the whole vampire versus werewolf thing. Well, they didn't realize though that the vampire was even there. That was a priest. He had taken over the town. He had convinced all of the people in the town that the vampires were, or that the werewolves were everything that was being killed. They were the ones killing things, and the werewolf. Yeah. And turns out that his small organization was kidnapping people and using it for rituals and that kind of thing. And that he was not just a vampire, but a drow. And all this came opened as they came into the bottom levels of the temple. And I know my players were like, you need to write this as a book, because this was like one of our favorite adventures.
Yeah.
And because I flipped the script, and everybody's like, oh, werewolves bad, werebears bad, all these creatures bad. No, they were just trying to survive. And most of them knew how to control it. Yeah. And they had a reason to understand it. So once they started talking to the players, they started realizing that, oh, these people actually can control it. They're not just vicious creatures of destruction. Yeah. And some of the characters really, I think one of our characters actually was like, well, I want to be a part of that ritual. Like, I want to protect you people. And he took on the werebear form. And he had a blast with it. We had a whole entire episode where it was everybody protecting him while he was going through the transformation, and things attacking from the outside. And they had a great time with it. So,
see, that is D&D gold. Like, I got goosebumps when you were describing it because it's so magical, and that's it. That's what this game is. It can your characters in real life will remember that for the rest of their lives. Like that campaign I had for a little bit 13 years ago, I remember every detail in my mind to this day of what happened.
That's such the neat thing about D&D. It's if you've really got a good campaign, you've got something that you really enjoy. Yeah, you don't forget it. Right. It's always there. You always can talk about it when the people get back together and you're sitting around with friends. I always tell people it's funny because I did 6 months in the desert, and what I mostly remember is the 3 campaigns that we ran while we were in the desert. And everybody's like, well, it sounds like you lived it. I said, well, I did. I wasn't playing for an hour a day. I was playing for 3 to 4, 5 hours a week sometimes that we would play at a time. So these are these massively long sessions, and with, I mean, our desert campaign was 11, 12 people. So it was a huge campaign. It wasn't even just something small. But our game master was great to be able to pull from everybody's backstory and be able to implement them together. And it was a blast.
Yeah. And sharing that joy, I feel like DMs, we do this for the gratitude, but also like our creative outlet and, giving back to people, a lot of it, and being able to share that. That's why I wrote, my book. It's just the first arc so far of our campaign. But like you said, you need to write this down. Like, this is magic and gold. And, I plan to read it to my little girl when she grows up, just super excited. So, but along the lines of, were talking about player immersion. I wanted to circle back. I don't want to forget about if you guys have anything pulled up on the screen there.
So right now we've got the candles and the dark lighting. Changing lighting is so much fun if you have the ability to do so. I know a lot of people don't have that ability, but if you do have that ability, especially if you're sitting around at a table with everybody, sadly, I don't get that opportunity much anymore. I know mostly do all my gaming online now, which is kind of a sad tears go down my face. And then it looks like you did blacklight mapping, so you could hide secret images and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the Shop of Many Things online has amazing resources for you guys. Check them out. This is one of them. It was a blacklight and it was super inexpensive, and I was able to write on any of my dry erase maps. Honestly, I tried writing on like walls to like interact in the room itself that we were in physically. But doing that, I actually had them find a map in a captain's room on a ship they just took over, and that map was booby trapped. So I don't know if videos will play on there, but I sent some, and I did fishing line, and I actually did a bowling ball and a legit physical booby trap where it was tied to the mug on the side of my table. So all I did was pull my beer mug, and I said, "Are you sure you want to move the map?" I described to them everything that was on top of the map, including the beer mug. Like, yeah, we want to cheat the map. So as soon as they moved it, I triggered the booby trap. They had to make Constitution saves. It was awesome. It was super fun, and
that's really cool. I've never heard of somebody legitimately booby trapping the table. That's awesome. I think that'd be that's going to be a new trick for me in the long run. Right now, I'm trying to figure out ways to make it so that when you click certain things in a virtual tabletop, it shifts the image so it looks something different. Like if you walked into a building, it actually opens up the building. If you open up the chest, it'll show whatever it is. If things are on fire, it shows fire, that kind of thing.
Nice. That's awesome. Heck yeah.
For all of our new people here, please make sure that if you like what we're doing, make sure you give us a follow, and if you can support us by throwing that stream or that Amazon Prime subscription to us here soon. We're going to be unlocking multiple things for what that's going to do, but also it gets rid of these stupid ads that pop up every once in a while. So just a heads up for those people, because we're on an ad right now, and I was like,
oh, okay.
So, but
that's all good.
I'm sure people can still hear us.
So let's and if they want to enter into that dice giveaway, make sure they comment in the comments below, and if there's any questions, we can follow up later if we don't answer them on the stream. But
so we've got so there's a dice giveaway at the end of the stream, so make sure the only way you can enter is if you've said something in the channel and you've also followed both of our accounts on Instagram. So that's the way to do it. $18 for a 3-pack of blacklight pens, not bad. You don't need the blacklight pens, or if you're going to do blacklight pens, but there's also all other ways to doing it, and maybe that's not the cheapest place to go. You probably find the same thing at Walmart, truthfully, or Spencer's. If you have a Spencer's around you, that seems to be a blacklight haven. But so Ang, oh my god, I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Angra Hammerand. I'm hoping I pronounced that right. I guarantee.
I think you nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah, Ang is good. Okay, Ang, cool. Ang is stating what are some of the funniest moments when the DM has shot from the hip? Oh boy, that's most moments.
Ooh. Right?
I think as a game master, you start to get into the groove where, especially if you have really nice players. Like I have so much respect for my players most of the time that I will ask them straight up at the end of a session, "Hey guys, where do you want to go next?" Because there's one thing that I don't like doing, and there's one thing that my players don't like doing, and that's slowing down. So if they're gonna hit those blocks in the game where they're just like, oh, I gotta build a map real fast, or I got to get this counter ready, my players are very kind on those moments because they'll tell me the direction they're going. And if they're not telling me, they're telling me while during the story is running, which I think both are very common.
Yeah.
Shooting through the hip moments, NPCs that I've randomly created out of the blue,
Like Bob too.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. NPCs that I've created that only are supposed to have about 20 seconds of gameplay that turn into half of the game, like half of the session game.
Yeah.
Those are the funniest moments.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones where you're like, okay, I wrote a sentence on this character because you're just supposed to run into him to get this one tip, and then he's not supposed to ever be a part of the problem anymore. And yeah, literally a name on a paper, correct. Okay, so before we go any further, because this is crazy, it's popping up on we got to play one of the videos, and it's they look like juice or whatnot.
Oh.
So
are
you
you
got
fire?
Dragon's Breath, and Pegasus Piss, Dragon's Breath, and Baron's Potions. But it's just potion bottles that are just billowing out this.
Yeah. So dry ice is your best friend as a DM. You're doing physical in game. I use that so much. You've seen them on my post probably, but dry ice presents this like cloud mystical effect. They can do it with spells. I've just used it like when a dragon transforms from a person. I've used it everywhere, but it's super cheap at the local grocery stores, and it's like time versus money, right? For a DM, I currently feel like I'm balanced in between, where I'm like, okay, I can spend a little bit of money, but I can't buy a full built out town of minis, so I'm gonna find what I can in between, and things like that just enhance the effect when you can't go all out. So it's cool.
Yeah, and it looks like you built most of your stuff. Looks like out of like balsa wood, right? Or is it mostly wood? Like,
which are you looking at?
For your towns.
Yeah, so the towns, I found small little town pieces at like a local craft store, and was able to doll them up. I made some of those cotton ball flames with the little batterized tea lights and spray painting blacks or smoke. And I don't know if you see that video where I used dry ice. It was pretty much introing them to a vampire overran town, similar like what you were saying.
Maybe. And you just threw it what looks like a tower over top of one, or a mountain over top of one of them.
Yes. So I actually made like a bucket, empty mountain, and I revealed a castle. They had to find a secret passage underneath the waterfall. As soon as they went into it, then I revealed this castle underneath the mountain itself.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah, these, like I said, I run so many games. I wish I had, like, truthfully, in all honesty, stream, this is my goal. My goal is to be able to fund all of our projects for Tabletop Misfits through the stream. What that will do for me personally is it will release 2 other games from me, because I run 2 professional paid games weekly. And that mostly covers all the bills that we pay for our stream. But as we grow, hopefully those will slow down a little bit, and then I can focus directly on the stream and putting what normally is a third of my time to one game, to each game, to be able to put all of my time into one big production game. That's the plan.
Nice. Let me know if you need help.
Yeah, no, definitely. trust me, your support, just throwing out all of the social media and keeping me on track this week has been phenomenal. Because
Nice.
that's my biggest problem is that keeping on track, because like I said, I run so much and I run so many different things. And this isn't even a full-time job for me. This is all part-time afterward. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is so real quick, while we've got people in here and while we've got these questions.
Yeah.
We've talked about this already, about the idea of doing an after party, and as long as you subscribe, you have the opportunity to get there. But this tonight, as kind of a test project, what we're going to do is if you're in the Discord, we're going to release the Zoom account for a 15-minute window after the stream, where you can come hang out with us, turn your video on, turn your audio on, ask us anything. I don't care how goofy it is or how ridiculous it is. Ask us anything. Come hang out with us, and off stream completely, where it's less embarrassing for me, and I get to answer all those goofy questions. And I can also drop, my filter in the background and show things off, all that fun stuff. So yeah, if you're really interested in something like that, give us a shout in the channel. Let us know you're interested in that. We'll get you a channel link over to the Discord, and you can come hang out with us tonight.
Yeah, come to the after party.
There we go. All right, so
real quick,
is this a kraken that's being wrapped around your buddy?
Probably.
Like kraken
yes.
Tentacles?
Yeah.
It looks like you made you used a noodle and put suction cups on it.
Suction cups, get some sample paint. I mean, some what I want to say, fishing string to make like each section.
Yeah.
And I use those in front of the house. So once in a while, I'll decorate the front of where we're playing the session. And as they come in, they're like fully immersed in the battle that's about to take place. So
nice.
Yeah, he was grappled and then he was eaten. Yeah.
Oh, well, poor guy. Sorry.
They managed to get him out. So much damage to the kraken. And internally, he can regurgitate.
He'll regurgitate everybody, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a plus.
Yeah. But
there's the image. The kraken tentacles as they come up to the door, and then you get the lights on at the door. That's pretty awesome. It's got to get some questions from your neighbors though, and I think that would be great. It's a great way to tell people, come play D&D, find out what this is all about.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But based on player immersion, that's what it's all about. I like that light that makes like an aqua look. I took that from outside for the intro, and then I put it over the chandelier above the table and had it going down on the table
downward so you get the same look.
Yeah.
These are so cool tips too, because these are things that can immerse you very easily. They don't cost much, or they're stuff you already have around in the house, so you're like, yay, this is easy. Yep, there it is. Seeing the picture of what it looks like with the boat and everything that's on the ground or on the water. Yeah, it looks very cool. Shadow Lantern 193 is just blown away by this, which is awesome. I think this is so cool.
Love it.
Everybody that's in the chat right now is checking out the images, and they're pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
So we've done the immersion portions. So when it comes to homebrew, how do you balance everything? How do you personally balance everything? I know what I do, but how do you personally balance things?
So are you referencing how do I balance in-game, or how do I balance life with homebrewing?
Let's start with the second one first, because that's always the difficult one.
Yeah. Oh man, I am blessed to own my own business, so I can, when it's not crazy, like it was crazy today, I was running on the stream, but when it's not crazy, any downtime I find, I will plan. I will try to type in a narrative intro for the start of this next session. I will, maybe do a quick flyer, like I'll find a cool Google image, put some text on there.
Yeah.
Hey, this Sunday, excited to see everyone. Kind of helps them not cancel last minute, and be stoked for the session ahead. But Google. So on my iPhone, I have notes, right? We have notes, and that'll go to my Mac. And so whenever I can, or I'll think of it, especially homebrewing, it just comes to you all of a sudden. So I have different folders categorized for each town. Each town has individual NPCs. So if I think of an extra story plot that they can kind of branch off into, I'll add that. whatever the town may have. So I have this plethora, like this encyclopedia on my notes, broken down into the whole world, politics, bad guys, good guys. So that's how I try to balance it outside of, because, I have a wife, I have a newborn baby. So time is so limited for all of us.
Right? Yeah.
Nothing. So any chance that I get, if I'm going to the restroom, I'll like do notes real quick,
I've really started coming, and I know this isn't the nicest way to do things, but like anytime I hear a name, I'm like, type that in, type that. Names are the worst thing for me. I have issues with coming up with character names, but if I hear a name and I'm like, well, that would be neat. I could use a character. I could put a character to this name, even if it's already a character. Like anything I hear from, Critical Role or any of the other big podcasts, I'm like, yes, but you change one letter from one of their names, and now it's a new character. So it's so much easier. Or you just don't put it the same exact character. I think doing that over and over and over again has actually made it easier for me to be like, if I need to create a name on the fly, I can kind of look at my character list and go, okay, none of these match, but if I take the first part of this one, the second part of this one, now I can smash them together and I'm good to go. Don't ever think you have to 100% create. You don't have to 100% create. And it'll save you so much time if you don't 100% create, which I think is why I love playing modules lately, is because I don't have that extra time to get into the nitty gritty of everything, but I can still bring a story to life. I can still come up with a narrative that makes sense, and I can still start weaving the characters' backstories into these games, because I know what's going to happen. Like the narrative's already written for me, so now I'm just piecing those puzzle pieces that were left out of the book. They're left out of the story, or something shifted the wrong way, and you're like, this isn't in the book, but A, B, and W will work with this direction, so let's go with that instead of
and movies is a great source as well.
Movies,
like
cartoons.
I'm thinking
Hercules. I'm a nerd, so like I watch anime consistently, or supernatural TV shows or movies, and I'm always pulling from it. Like especially if I'm on a hook, like if I've hooked myself onto a certain show, most likely some game during that week is going to have something from that show in it, in this little bit of format. Like it's not going to be the whole show, like taking the whole show together, creating it, but this piece I got really hooked on, so now I'm going to throw it into my game for a little bit and see what the players can do with it. Those types of things. These little things I love doing. Shadow Lantern 193 says anime is always such a good source for inspiration. It is. Anime, books, movies, comics, anything that a nerd liked at one point in life will work wonders in D&D. I don't know what it is. Now, here's the trick. Go outside of that. Start watching things like crime movie or crime TV, or start looking at things that are more realistic, and then figure out how you personally can put a fantasy spin on it. Because if it's realistic, it means it can be connected directly to the person's thought process. A lot of times we watch anime, we watch fantasy stuff, and we're still floating in the fantasy world. But it's cool though when you can take something that's actually in our world and in the world of the living that we live in, and being able to give it that spin for fantasy, and then people can get that nostalgia feeling, or that that seems very logical, right? That seems very like it could work. You're like, well, yeah, because where I'm pulling this from will work. Like that's part of the deal of the thing. It breaks that feeling of misbelief, and everything is now believable, and it can be a really fun way to shift your players to thinking differently. Dexter's a good one. Like watch Dexter. Like I hate the show, but like for inspiration reasons, I'm like, So he killed this guy this way, and he gave all these extra clues, and just very intricate details of things that you can then piece together and just, instead of him being a human, he's an elf. And he's tracking this guy because of this reason. And just build the entire scenario off of one mini portion of an episode of something, and it can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's how I do it personally, because I don't have the time to just, sit there and think all day long. I just don't have it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's a great tip for sure. And yeah, it's just pulling when you can. Honestly, when you're thinking of a homebrew or maybe a town or something, you need some NPC names. If you know you need that throughout the day of just doing things, most of the time it's going to pop up through like what you're saying. You're watching something, you're doing something, you talk to somebody at work, you hear a cool name, it'll pop up. It'll come in for sure.
You guys have any other questions while we're going to continue to go through some of these ideas we have, because now I'm going to bring it back to the second portion of our question. It's like, how do you, in game now, how do you homebrew? What do you utilize mostly to imbalance? Because one thing that D&D is great at is combat, and most of it is pretty balanced. Yeah. My only caveat to all of this, and this is the one thing that everybody tells me, because there's yet to be something that actually like mechanically explains the caveat, like how do you balance when you add these things to it, is magic items. Once magic items are added to a character, everything is unbalanced. Everything. And you can't project it until you find out how the character uses the weapon or the item.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, being a new DM, in starting Evermore, I was afraid to kill the characters. Honestly, like they had hardly any health, as you know, like a level 1 party going into a tomb. It's like, okay, there's a chance they're gonna die, and not having the understanding of death saves, and there's so many buffers of medicine checks and things like that. As a new DM, you just research that, dig into that first, because it is more so difficult to kill them unless you like throw something gnarly at them right away. But balancing the type of monsters, just look up in the monster manual, like CRs, ratings of what.
If you use D&D Beyond, they have an encounter builder, and it's amazing. I use it all the time, especially if I have to do quick stuff. Now, what I will normally do though is if I have a creature that I want to use, but I don't want to use, but my character is either too high or too low, what I normally do is I'll find creatures that are at that level and see what their stats are and what the creature I want to use is, and I kind of combine them and say, perfect. Okay, so yes, we've got goblins, but these goblins have steroids. So instead of it being a little, a CR2, they're a CR, or a CR half, they're a CR4. And I've got 6 of them instead of, 25, because goblins normally live in packs of ridiculousness. Not like little clans.
Give them leather armor instead of cloth armor. Give them a sword instead of a club. Like, if you need to spruce it up.
Yeah. Now, when you get into things like virtual tabletops, specifically the one I use, because I use Foundry, it's all drag and drop, which I love, because I'm like, okay, goblin goes here, orc goes here. Okay, I need this orc to have goblin stuff, so I just pull goblin stuff over to the orc, change up a little bit, he's done. Goblin now has orc stuff. So things like that you can do very quickly in virtual tabletops. When you're at home, you got to write a little bit more, truthfully. I had to, because I had to write everything out myself, or I had to build it up on my own screen, not through an application that does it for me. Which is why I love virtual tabletops. I mean, even when I go back to the table, I'll have a virtual tabletop probably up just for those reasons, to be able to, okay, so the encounter starts, I'm going to click my encounter, does my encounter builder, everything.
That's where I use my notes. I would have it up on my Mac, which was behind the DM screen, and I have my notes in the bottom corner. And I could go through like where they're at, like in that town. Okay, I have all the NPCs I could reference. Okay, what enemies they may run across. Okay, when they were like level 4, I think it wasn't high. They weren't leveling as fast as I wanted them to level, and they went through this whole pirate section, and that's when they ran into the Kraken. And at level 4, and I'm like, okay, 4? I was like, I have to nerf this Kraken so hard. So I'm like, where are stats for like a baby Kraken? And so there's like
Thankfully,
a
they have
juvenile
them.
Kraken, which I found.
I
And
say,
it's just,
thankfully, they have a baby Kraken now, but
yeah, you just
um,
homebrew it, right? You're like, you have to start somewhere. So you take a stat and, you know, nerf it if you have to based on the storyline and the plot. And that's how I like to balance, or I'll shoot from the hip, so to speak, along the
yeah,
lines of, you know, having an idea of where these creatures and these interactions and encounters could be. And then if they get there early, it's like, well, I don't want to railroad you and have you level up, go into this town and this mine. Like, I want you to have free roam. So
right.
that's this
See,
big thing with DMs not controlling. You want to build out in exactly the path that they should go, but just
so I
leaving
have
it
a
up to
person. My personal opinion on it is I'm going to give you directions, and I'm going to give you encounters that are going to serve whatever your goal is. Um, and as a game master, my goal is to kind of do a two-handed thing, right? I think it's serving your goal, but it's also connecting to the main goal. The main goal is this way, and I need you to kind of continue to come back and forth with it, so that
yeah
we continue to drive the story. Um,
yeah
there are days though that I'll tell my players, like, you guys are going way off course. If you guys want to do that, cool. We're going to be going into a new campaign. Like, we're going in a new direction. But also remember that if you start going off course completely, now you are letting whatever is going to happen continue to happen without you interfering.
yeah
And that can be dangerous too, because you're like, okay, cool. You're supposed to pick off maybe one or two of the henchmen before it talked to the big bad guy. Now the henchman can grow a little bit. The big bad guy now knows that you're just out doing your own thing. It can get bad quick.
yeah
A DM can almost always salvage a TPK. You wake up in a jailhouse, hospital.
yeah I mean,
I think there's many more ways you can do that besides just the jail and a hospital. But yes, you're right. The DM should be able to salvage a TPK.
yeah
Unless it is something that was supposed to kind of, like, I'm like, seriously, in all honesty, if let's say I'm going to jump in the big world of D&D, right? Because I'm going to go straight to Critical Role because I know it enough to understand it
yeah
when it comes to how their big bads go. But when they fought Vecna, there is not a single person in there that was like, hey, if this thing TPKs, I'm going to be upset. No, you're fighting a god. Like, if it happens, that's an awesome way to go down. Like, go down in the strike of glory, right? I figured they wouldn't do that because the hero is supposed to always win type feel. But I think in those cases you can kill off a party at the end of a campaign. And what you do though, especially if you're planning to continue the story with those players, make that part of the next campaign. So the next campaign, you're gonna hear that major story. You're gonna hear that epic defeat. Like, now the entirety of the world has rallied around this group of, misfits, as they have died in battle, but they've also united the entirety of the world against this new evil. So now you bring new characters in that are the driving factor now.
I think it's important that you have a death or somebody drop below zero,
Somebody
just
has
to bring in the severity of what could happen. Because then if you don't, players think they're untouchable,
Right.
And having that scarcity.
If I deal with things that most people don't deal with because I get paid to do what I do, right? I get paid to play game to GM for people, and I had a group that was coming to talk to me, and they're like, "Hey, we want to purchase your service," and then they gave me the concept of like, "Well, we don't like the idea of death." Excuse me? What do you mean you don't like the idea of death? Well, we want to be the hero, and we want to. So you're telling me you don't want to die. You don't want to have any opportunity to die whatsoever. So you want to make sure that you are invincible. Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't play with you. But we're paying you. No, you're paying me to tell you a good story. You're paying me to facilitate this project that we play together. You're not paying me to make you invincible, and I'm not going to play a game like that because I would be bored, and I'm not going to write a game where I know that no matter what, I can't put enough of a risk at the game to make you think outside of the box. Because if, for heaven forbid, you die, you're now going to blame me? No, I'm not playing that game at all.
Yeah, no.
And I had a lot of people who were like, well, why wouldn't you? I said, because that's not why I do. That's not why I'm a professional game master. That's not why I play games like this. Because you lose the risk factor. You lose that enjoyment of, is this the last time? Like, not to mention, some of my most favorite moments in this game have been character deaths, either my own or people that I've been playing with. Because it's not you. People need to realize that. People don't realize that much enough. That is, the character death isn't just you. The character death is everyone in the party. So if you're playing a character and a character dies, or you're playing in a party and a character dies, that should affect the whole party. That shouldn't just affect you. And if it doesn't, then you need to play your character right, because you're not invested in the party then. So, hello, welcome.
This is one of the players of Evermore and my amazing wife.
There you go.
Who brought me a Frosty. But yes, she is our elven princess fighter. Had some magical abilities based on her background.
Nice.
I'm not going to say anything, but
yes, I was an Eldritch Knight. It was very
Those are fun. Those are fun.
Yeah, learned a lot. I had never played D&D before. We played in this campaign, and it was super fun to
I do a lot of that
fighting.
Between my paid service and when I go to cons and run for cons, a lot of my players are brand new, and it's part of the fun of it is I get to then show them this amazing game in a way that they want to see it. So if you guys are in the area, I'll be at Gen Con this year. So if you guys are coming out to Indianapolis for Gen Con, I'll be running 5 games, I think, that weekend.
Nice.
So it'll be a fun weekend. Welcome.
Awesome.
And it will be mostly me running for the company that I write with. That's the main focus of what the game's going to be. But we're also trying to get connected with some other collaborators to do some more actual gameplay together. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
Nice.
Ooh.
And really quick, based on your what we were just talking about, player deaths.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask her, did you ever feel, did you get the feeling that you guys could die in the campaign?
Yeah. When we were battling the Kraken, everyone was like, we're for sure going to die. And I was like, no, not yet. And everyone was like, we're not going to live from this. I think it was that time and then one other time.
And as a DM, you're just like, yes.
Oh, with
just
the dragon. With the dragon. We were like, we're for sure going to die.
Yeah.
And then we did
let's see, in my 3 years of professional gaming, I've killed 3 characters.
3. Oh,
3 characters.
Brutal.
Heartbreaking. Oh.
I kept telling him too, because like being the spouse to the DM is a fun, relationship as well. I'm like, you better not kill me because you have to deal with me later.
You see, I think that's hilarious you say that, because I feel that same way when I'm watching certain episodes of Critical Role and you've got Matt and Marisha, and I'm just like, there's no way he's killing this girl off. It's no way, because he's not going to sleep on the couch.
Oh no!
Tonight.
And I'll give him like some winks, and he's like, stop it! I can't help you. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm your wife though. Come on. He was very honest. He had good integrity. Brutal integrity.
I had to show some roles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That stinks, man. I show all my roles. That's really the main reason I tell people you could die, because I don't hide anything. I don't have a table. It's all rolled on the screen and everybody can see the rolls at all times. So
that seems fair.
It's more so of, bad dice or ruthless sometimes.
Yeah. And as much as you're the DM and you want to, as in character DM, as much as you want to kill them, outside DM, you're like, I'm so sorry, I just rolled a nat 20, and you're gonna die.
Yeah, no. And we play. So the other thing, I have a bunch of homebrew rules that we talk about at session 0, and one of them is epic criticals. Epic criticals are very dangerous because if a character gets one, then anybody that I consider less or more than a minion gets one. So one of our players was epic critted a creature with a level 3 inflict wounds, but the creature was really strong and almost killed it, but it didn't kill it. And then I turned right back around and used the main attack that creature had and epic criticaled her, and she had already almost been at max, or she had almost been dead anyways, and it literally took her max HP and then some in one shot. And I was like,
oh no,
I'm so sorry.
Oh, brutal.
Make max HP plus, so it wasn't an instant death.
No, it was so it's max HP plus whatever she had left.
Yeah.
So because she hit 0 and then her entire HP negative. Yeah, so it was an insta kill. It is sad as a DM when you accidentally insta kill pieces. You're absolutely right. I felt horrific. But seeing the emotion and the change of all the players on her death, I would never take it back, ever in my life.
Yeah.
Watching a character that wasn't her start to cry in person, because we were still around the table at the time, and I was like, and everybody just sat there and was solemn, like quiet.
Yeah.
And this was my oldest son's first game ever playing D&D with me. So
he's hooked.
Yeah, he was hooked. He was the main antagonist projected throughout the entire campaign. If the DM kills most of your dang it. So one of my players is in here and he's using a moderator's chat right now, and he said yes. So I have another character that instead of killing him, I killed his entire family. And it was heart-wrenching the way that the campaign had started and the way the character implemented himself. Well, I didn't kill your whole family. I left 2 of your sisters alive. I did.
Okay, Derolo massacre. Okay.
Literally, so the way what it was is he was playing a shepherd or a druid of the shepherds, and the way we had created the race or the class was they were the protectors of the forest. So they had almost like this exotic zoo type mentality to them. So they lived in these giant tree houses, and they had these stables that were just massive, full of animals that are all over throughout the world. And then they had higher ups that would go out and actually protect these very strong groves and larger creatures that were considered endangered almost. And his father went out to protect a unicorn, found out that the drow were now returning back to the world, corrupted the unicorn, turned it into a nightmare, and then corrupted his father, and then came back to the druid grove riding a nightmare with an entire horde of drow. And it was a brutal episode. I'm not gonna lie.
Your player didn't forget it, right? That's our job.
No, he didn't. And that was 2 campaigns ago. That wasn't even our last game. Our campaign we're currently on is completely different. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well,
a lot of weird stories like that. I do. I like to torture my players, but they love it, so I just continue to do it. So
yeah.
So real quick, since the picture is up now, and I've really been asking questions on this. Well, first, let me answer that question. Esopher's foreshadowing. No, that is not. but I will not talk about that for right now but if you want to know more about that, you can come to the after party tonight and I will tell you more about Esper's foreshadowing. A little bit of sneak preview on that for our campaign that we run on stream every Sunday. Though we are on hiatus this week, and I think we'll come back next week. I'm still trying to plan it yet, because it's about 8 episodes left for our next arc before we jump into a whole new project, which I've been talking about now for weeks on end. Plots in Darkenhaven. It is going to be a project that nobody is expecting. We have 3 game masters. We have 16 players. We have multiple stories that are going to be working all simultaneously. So it should make multiple things like never having an episode go off never be a problem, because and then it also allows our game masters much more time for preparation for that adventure. So adventures are only going to be 2 weeks long, but they're going to have an overarching tie-in to a main storyline that's going to be hitting in the background that you'll have to kind of puzzle and put together. And the 3 game masters will be working side by side together. We're also going to have NPCs that we can bring that will be playing throughout the campaign with the other game masters. So there could be 2 game masters on a screen at one time, depending on what's going on. So we're excited. We're super excited. This is a project in the making that we think might legitimately be something new and original that most people have never seen before. So we're excited to release this. And that also is going to bring us into the fall when we launch Heroes of Xyothe, which is our 24/7 RPG that's going to be ran in our Discord. So between Discord and Foundry. What we're going to be doing is you can do normal roleplay stuff in Discord, but we're also going to have game masters that can choose, depending on where you're at in the area, can choose to connect with you. And if they connect with you enough, or you enter into an area where there's an encounter going on, they're going to give you a link to a Foundry link, and then you're actually going to go in and you're going to play that encounter out for a short period of time, as long as you have that time. So we're excited. We think it'll be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
So, but yeah, let's see here. So Heroes of Evermore is up right now on our screen. It has all the characters and probably NPCs that I don't understand because I've never played your campaign, so I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the 5-6 characters in the front are the actual characters?
Yes. Okay. Correct.
And then you've got what looks like a wraith.
You see if you can see. I don't know if you can see that far on my screen, but they're all lined up right here.
Okay. I see them. Look at that. That's super cool. Check that out. So then we have a wraith, a dragon, and what looks like either you as the game master or a really big bad sorcerer dude.
He's considered the dark one.
Okay.
And then his minions trickle down into that dragon, which is kind of faded over a fire lord.
I do see him now. He's hidden in there.
So that's, as I mentioned earlier, that's the one who was the main priest of the town, kind of faking everyone out, turned into this dragon and this evil force, secondhand man. So many others, though. I mean, all of these are from the campaign back behind me. Mm-hmm. We've got, we had a brief showing of Tiamat at the end battle, which was awesome, but...
You need a bigger one. You need the big one now.
Yeah, but it's just amazing. It was awesome being able to, from the very first session, having I had made a dragon mask, but split it into pieces. And so they found throughout the whole 2 years, different pieces, and it was called the Pieces of Sanctum. And 1,000 years ago, against the War of the Dragons, it had been used to control dragons to defeat them. And the whole goal was the Dark One wanted these pieces to raise Tiamat from Avernus and control her.
So you didn't read? Have you ever read Horde of the Dragon Queen?
So no, but I know it's
that's hilarious because you literally are talking most of the story.
I love it. I mean,
I'm running it with one of my campaigns with one of my paid games right now, and that's what they're doing is they're hunting for the dragon masks to make sure if all the masks come together that they don't release Tiamat. Like that's literally the story, and you just said it. Yes, it's literally the story.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay,
So,
so
each dragon, color has a mask, and if you combine them all, then you get the Dragon Queen mask, which then allows you then to release Tiamat from her prison.
What? Oh, I love that. I love it. I know. Yeah. I literally have from 2 years ago just a dragon mask that I pulled off Google, and I was like, there needs to be like a purpose of the enemy. So I ended up cutting the mask into 4 pieces and making them into like little player cards. So as they found one, they would get a portion of the one mask. That's pretty cool. I love it.
Yeah, it was. That's crazy though. Second.
No worries. But another one of my loves is really taking everyone's backstory and integrating it throughout the whole thing. Like 2 years, all of a sudden, like something will pop up. My characters be like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I sent you that in my backstory." Like, it's amazing to see that. And like, I'll even write old school like letters on parchment, and I'll be like, "Okay, in the chest you find this," and I'll hand it to them, and they'll open up a letter from like their mom, and there's like a secret message encoded on it that only their language would know or something.
That's the picture of everybody around a table eating. All of your players. And your players come in costume all the time?
No. That'd be fun, but it's a lot.
Like, that's legit. Like, not gonna lie, that's legit.
That was a Halloween session that we all dressed up as the characters. So
nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's my next work is I need to get ready for Gen Con. I need to go find a couple costumes. So if anybody knows good places to get costumes, then I'm going to start working on this.
Nice.
I got quite a few.
But yeah, one of the main thing that I try to incorporate every game is an outside element, right? Any elements, fire, water, like the dry ice, like smoke, some kind of outside element that enhances the experience. I'll try to incorporate that. So whether that's the black light, or they have a pen that you can write on that fire will like erase it and reveal the message underneath. Just like anything. There's a camping store that has magic flames. It's a powder you can throw in flames and they turn green. So I would do sorcerer rituals and sprinkle that in, and it would turn green in front of their eyes, like on the table. Awesome. Just that's where my heart is, and I feel like that really makes it real, right? This is a super real experience, and theater of the mind is great. I think it's a balance, like have some things in person, have that theater of the mind description going with DM, but
there's a stream out there that I don't think it's running anymore, but Geek and Sundry ran it, and Deborah and Wall was the game master. It's called Relics and Rarities. Nice. And they did a similar thing. Instead, they used a very theater of the mind, but they always had props. They always had these random items they could find, and they would just hand them out to people. And it was like, I was like, this is really neat.
Yeah. Nice.
And I think if you're in a location where you can do that, that's awesome. Sadly, you can't do that very well with virtual tabletop. I'm finding ways to do things similar, but I can't. I use a lot of music and a lot of sound with mine. So all of our sounds for our streams, all of our sounds for all my paid games come from Sirenscape. It's my one little plug here for the night.
Nice.
And actually, starting this week, if you want to use channel points, you can use channel points now to say "ooh, huzzah" and play the sad trombone. So if you're interested and you want to do that for anything that happens during our campaign, or in our session tonight, you can do that. Make us make funny noises throughout the campaign or throughout the talk, which is fun to do. So
nice.
I'll give my example of my sad trombone.
Any other questions you see in there, or you have?
Let's see. Oh, huzzah! Hold on. Where's my huzzah? There we go. No, I don't see any questions at the moment. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, we're going to get ready to close down the tavern and start the after party for 15, 20 minutes.
Nice.
So if you are not a part of our Discord, let me place our wonderful chat in our wonderful Discord in the chat.
Yeah. And while you do that, go ahead.
Now, make sure that you guys have followed both of us on both Heroes of Evermore and Tabletop Misfits over on Instagram. Make sure that you toss a follow to us here. And when we see you guys in Discord, we'll give the shout out to the after party, and you guys can come hang out with us and talk nerdy D&D stuff or whatever you guys want to know. I can also give the insides out of like how the streams work and all that kind of fun stuff without giving away all the cool secrets that we do on our show. So,
and if you follow both of us and are able to comment, and you commented in this stream, you guys have a chance to win this dice set, electronic dice set we wanted to offer. Lights up, it's super glorious.
I'm jealous. Can I do it? Can I be a part of that?
Yeah, definitely.
I have literally a entire tray in front of me full of dice. I don't have light up one.
They're glorious. I had 2 sets, and the set I was using for this last mini portion of our campaign was I was critting like so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Yeah, I think what we'll do with that one, since that's such a cool opportunity, is we'll give it a couple of days. What we'll do is we'll put up a new giveaway on Instagram. If you've been in the stream, let us know, because what I'll do is I'll give you an extra point if you've been in the stream. Just send me a message on Instagram letting me know that, hey, I was on the stream, because nobody else is going to hear this. And I guess if you watch this later and you hear this, you can send me a message that says, hey, I was on the stream, and I just want you to know that this is me on Instagram, so I can give you 2 points instead of 1. And then by next Wednesday, what we'll do is we'll do an entire week, and then we'll raffle it off that Tuesday before the day before the show, the next show. So that sounds like a better option in my opinion. It gives us a little bit more. We've only got a few people here on stream, but I think that you guys deserve that extra bonus.
Yeah.
Let's get some love over there at Heroes of Evermore too, and make sure that they're getting that support, because they got some crazy stuff going on. So before we go, is there anything you got going on that you want to tell people about?
Yes. I mentioned my book, Arc 1, that I've written. So if anyone wants a digital copy, let me know. I will be posting some details on that, or I can DM you details. And then we are building a video game based on our campaign as well. It's been a passion of mine. About 10 years ago, I started building one based on Game of Thrones. Didn't go through, it was on Unreal Engine, but recently through Unity, it's been a great experience, and taking the world that we had, you've probably seen posted my map that we have, but sectioning that off into different levels and allowing different characters to be played. So super excited. It'd be like a third-person video game. It's quite a ways out in development, but we'll be posting some updates and things, and possibly running a Kickstarter to get some game developers to finalize it and polish it up. So
that'd be pretty awesome. Not gonna lie, that'd be a pretty cool way to finish that off.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you again for coming and hanging out with us tonight. And as always, thank you, stream, for just coming to chill with us, ask your questions. They're really good questions tonight. I've really been glad to help you guys out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping what we've given you is just a couple tips or tricks that you can bring to your table, and makes your games just that much more exciting.
Yes.
I don't consider myself the absolute all and knowing everything, but if I can just give 1 or 2 tricks to help people increase their gameplay, I've done my job for the session.
Yes.
One thing I'm going to ask the stream, if it's possible, if you do use any of our tricks, please go over to our Instagram channel and let us know, because I think it'd be cool to know that you guys are actually getting use of this and that it is helpful. I've been doing this now for over a year, and I am still going strong, pushing through, trying to find new guests each and every week to get new more new material, because everybody's got something new going on and exciting and has their own way of playing games. So try out the dry ice idea, try out, the black light pen. Check out that website that I sent up way early at the beginning of the stream that gets you all those cool little knickknacks and stuff for D&D. And until then, this is Last Call. I am James, your game master at Tabletop Misfits, and we will see you guys all next week for our next episode of Tavern Talks. Our guest next week will be DM Inspo. If you've never heard of DM Inspo, this guy is incredible. He gives little 30-second to minute-long tips on TikTok. He's only been doing this for like 6 months, and he's got like 40,000 people. Incredible. He's grown that fast. His Patreon has already been launched in less than a month, and he's got over 200 patrons. So he's blowing up, and we're excited to have him on the board. And he is a lot of fun to talk to. Not to mention he's, I believe, Scottish, so the accent just is hilarious as well. But we've had a lot of fun times talking in the background, and we're excited to have him next week for our next episode. So until then, you all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you next week on Tavern Talks.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.